No matter how far she runs, Elsbeth just can't seem to escape her past. From this season's Chicago reveal to landing in jail with former foes, the titular character has had quite an eventful time since moving to New York. The Season 3 finale, titled Ramen Holiday, sees Elsbeth solve Alex Madarian's murder from inside the prison and even includes a dream-induced musical number with her fellow inmates. Ahead of the installment, Deadline reported that main cast member Cora Patterson would be exiting the CBS show as a series regular. Episode 20 sees her character, Kaya Blonky, prepare to depart on an undercover assignment in light of her promotion. However, this isn't the last we've seen of Blonky, as the actor has promised to return as a guest star in the already renewed third season. Jonathan Tolins. I think early on we decided that Stephen Moyer, because we love Stephen Moyer, but also since he was Elsbeth's first suspect that she caught, it would be nice to have him back. And then also Alyssa Milano's character, because of the character's mafia ties, it would help us with the plot that she would have a family member who had been in the same prison. I wrote a lot of scenes in the outline for all different characters that ended up not being able to be in the episode. It was almost like a game of Clue. If we have Colonel Mustard, then he could have this motive and this alibi. It was a scheduling Jenga finding out who was available and willing to do it. But on the whole, we thought we would end up with maybe 4 or 5 guests able to come back, and we ended up with 8, which was pretty amazing. We did lean toward using people from earlier in Season 1 and earlier in Season 2, so it would be more of a surprise to see them again. Jonathan Tolins. Partly because he was the first one, but also, when we talked about it, we needed the other prisoners to have motivation to kill the victim. And as we talked about it, Alex's murder was kind of the worst. He killed this young girl he was having an affair with to protect his job. It was a very Me Too situation. It was extremely premeditated the way he tried to make it look like a suicide. And we just felt that that would *SS off the other female prisoners in a way, and it gave us something to play and explore. Now, of course, it turns out that had nothing to do with why he gets killed, but that was sort of why we ended up going there. Jonathan Tolins. I think we found somewhere online that ramen had replaced cigarettes as a common currency behind bars. And I just think there's something inherently funny in the word ramen and the fact that it's noodles. Laughs. People in prison obsessed with ramen felt Elsbeth to me. And then someone found this video on YouTube of how to make a knife using pasta. It's fascinating because you file it down, and it really is sharp and looks deadly. We tried to get the rights to that video, but it was made in Japan, and we never could get in contact with people. So that's why we created our own little tutorial to say, this actually exists. Obviously, our show is a little quirky, and we try to be unusual in our methods of murder, and that just felt like an opportunity for us to do a crazy ramen weapon. It also made it possible to work in the whole Chef Vive story and how Elsbeth would solve it from her cooking and the particular smells that would be on the ramen knife. I sound crazy even just saying this stuff, but that's our show. Jonathan Tolins. Actually, I think in the first draft, I had that after she comes back from arts and crafts, she has painted her uniform all different colors. And Dan Lawson, our genius costume designer, said, I'm thinking about making a pom-pom vest instead. I said, absolutely. That was a great idea. Jonathan Tolins, doing it in 6 hours. That was our last day of shooting for the season, actually. We had budgeted 6 hours. I think we went a little bit over, but we got it done. The hardest part was just waiting to get the rights. We were moving forward as if the rights were going to come through. And I hoped they would, and I thought they would because it really is actually an affectionate use of the original number, but it was scary because we were going so far. We were already rehearsing the choreography and stuff. I think we shot it on maybe a Tuesday, and I think the rights finally came through on the Friday before. Jonathan Tolins. I don't know if that was the case or it's just that we knew we had Elsbeth in prison, and we had Kaya leaving. It just felt like a natural way to add stakes to the story. Obviously, our characters wanted to get Elsbeth out as soon as they could, but that just added a little extra motivation to that. As you may have heard the expression, a ticking clock, to get her out. Jonathan Tolins. I don't want to speak for Cora. We're thrilled that the character is actually achieving this dream that the character had from the very first episode of becoming a detective. And so it does feel organic that there is some shift because they're not going to be on the same cases all the time. But again, I don't want people to get too worried. Kaya is still a part of the Elsbeth world, and we love her, and we love Cora, and we will have her back as often as we can. Jonathan Tolins. I don't know yet. Laughs. I'm on my brief break between seasons, and then the writer's room will start up again on May 19th, and I'm trying not to predetermine. I want to let us start the conversation and see where we go. Jonathan Tolins. I will say that once Kaya was promoted, we decided we wanted to start to do, with the uniformed officers, something like what we do with our detectives. We've developed, over time, a stable of detective characters who we kind of rotate through. We have all these different detectives, and each one is a really great character, and we're starting to do that with uniformed officers too, except that you don't know which one is going to pop up in the next case. So we introduced B as Nikki Reynolds and Ethan Slater as Reese Chandler. We'll probably have some more too. The one thing I will say is I have no intention of shoehorning someone into being the new Kaya, because that was a very special character and relationship, and again, she's not disappearing from the world. But I'm sure we'll have some new relationships that Elsbeth is going to build in Season 3.